On my 16th birthday, I had sex with a good friend of mine because I wanted to experience it. I initiated it all. I wasn't on birth control and I didn't think I'd get pregnant. He pulled out to finish, but I thought he might have squirted in. Me first. It didn't matter because I found out I was pregnant. I was over 2 months late and took a test that morning, and another after school. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell my mom. I didn't want to tell anyone. I felt like I had no one to go to. I couldn't get an abortion. I just didn't think I could live with that. I might regret it forever. I didn't know anything right then. My parents were coming home in a few hours, and I had no idea what I was going to say or do. I wanted to run away, but I couldn't. I wanted to call my friends, but they couldn't help me. I dialed Planned Parenthood like 20 times, but never called. Oh my God, what was I going to do? I needed to know who to call and what to say to my mom. I couldn't imagine that there was a baby growing in me. I was not prepared for that. I was so close to the edge, feeling like I was going to burst into tears. Someone on a forum told me that my mom seemed very caring and would likely support me, even though it would be a shock. They said everything would be okay, and I would get through it. And they were right. My mom said she kind of suspected it, though I don't know how she could have. She said it would be all right, and my daddy was coming home early so we could sort this out. I was terrified that I had let them down and ruined everything they wanted me to be. I was afraid that I'd always be that girl who got pregnant, and I wouldn't be able to have friends or the real experience of being a teen. Even if I did get an abortion, I thought I'd still be that girl, and everyone would still talk about me that way. Everything was hitting me in waves, going from being somewhat okay to being a wreck. But their words helped me calm down. My mom wanted to keep this quiet. She asked me who I'd told, and I said no one except the cashier at Rite Aid. I thought it might be all right, but I just didn't know what this whole situation was going to be like. I didn't know anyone who had an abortion, or who had a baby at my age, so I really didn't know what anything was going to be like. My only experience was watching that video during health class, and that didn't even show the mother, just the baby developing, and then poof. It was in a towel. I didn't even know what to say to Mike, my friend, or how I could tell him anything. It seriously wasn't his idea, and he was somewhat reluctant to do it. He thought I was joking until I took my pants off, then he was like, "This is happening, okay?" I felt so bad for him. It was like he would think I wanted him to get me pregnant or something. I was so stupid. I told him that I didn't want to use a condom because I wanted to feel everything the first time. I couldn't imagine texting him and saying, "Oops, remember? That one time we had sex? Well, you got me pregnant." I just couldn't do that. I didn't want an abortion, but that seemed like the best option because I didn't know if I could even have a healthy baby, so keeping it and adoption might be off the table. So much happened in just a few hours that day. My dad came home and came to my room after talking to my mom for a few minutes. I was so scared. I had never seen my daddy look that way. I didn't know what he was thinking or about to do, but he pulled my desk chair next to where I was sitting, on my bed, looked me in the eye and said, "I want to tell you one thing, princess. I love you no matter what you do, where you are, or what situation you are in. I am always there to take care of you and help you see it through." He then asked me, "Are you sure that you are pregnant?" And I said, "Yeah, pretty sure." He asked, "Are you okay?" And I saw him start to tear up. I'd never seen my daddy cry, and when I saw that, I just lost it and started bawling. I told him everything that happened, how I had been worried about this for weeks, and that I didn't know what I should do, or if they would still love me, or if I should just run away or do something worse. I told him I posted online for advice after my second test, and that people were so nice and supportive, and that changed everything. They told me to call Mom, and she dropped what she was doing to be there, and how I really didn't know what to do. He just held me for what seemed like an hour until I was done crying. And then he set me down on my bed, took a tissue to wipe his face, and gave me the box to clean up mine. My mom scheduled an appointment with her gynecologist for the next morning. They were going to run a full pregnancy test and do an ultrasound because girls my age might have an ectopic pregnancy where the fetus is in the ovary, not in the uterus, or something like that. She told me a girl my age can have all sorts of serious complications, so getting to the doctor was the first priority. My daddy has been friends with Mike's parents for more than 25 years, which I guess is why we grew up so close, as friends. He was going to talk to Mike's dad the next day after we were sure of everything, and then we would sit down together to talk about what happens next. There would be no other discussions about this until after the doctor's appointment. I really appreciated the thoughtful and supportive advice from everyone. It really saved my life that afternoon because it gave me something to focus on other than thinking the worst about everything like I was doing. I really love and appreciate my parents too. I can't believe how cruel some people can be to their daughters. That's just awful. I also read up on Planned Parenthood and was ready to give a presentation on all of their services thanks to the great information some people provided. I was exhausted, mentally, emotionally, and physically drained. My mom wanted me to sleep with her that night just to be safe. The next morning, I found out I was pregnant. It finally hit me what all that meant, and I was happy, sad, confused, overwhelmed, and upset all at once. I went to see a gynecologist for the first time, and that was terrifying. She was so nice, but it hurt and I felt so violated. My mom said, "You think that is bad? Just wait until there are 10 people working there while you are giving birth." And that made me throw up. I threw up for 20 minutes. It hurt so much. So I was pregnant, but there was a big problem with it that I didn't really fully understand. Everything had been a blur, and I couldn't really get everything that everyone was saying. I had an extrauterine pregnancy. They said the baby wasn't where it was supposed to be, like in an extra uterus, which made no sense, or in the fallopian tubes. The baby wouldn't grow there, and it would cause bleeding and a lot of medical issues, so I had to get an abortion. I didn't have a choice because it might kill me or cause serious issues. I threw up when I heard this too. I had been throwing up all morning and was so dizzy. My mom and dad met with Mike's dad the night before when I was asleep. I thought we were going to do this tonight, but they thought it would be best. So Mike was at my house at 7 that morning with my favorite donut and a cup of tea. He knows me. I cried as soon as I saw him and told him I was so sorry, and he hugged me and said, "No, this was my fault. I should have insisted on the condom or told you no until we were more prepared." I said, "You didn't even want it," and he responded, "I wanted it more than anything, but didn't want to let you down or do something wrong. You are so special to me." I just died right there. I started crying at like 7 a.m. and hadn't really stopped yet. It was probably the hormones, but the puking and crying hadn't stopped since 7 a.m., and I felt so great about what he said to me. Those were the most magical words I'd ever heard. "You are so special to me." The way he said that. The feeling when he held me. Oh my God, what was wrong with me? I was pregnant, and my pregnancy would end around 2 that day. I was at the surgical center waiting for my mom's gynecologist and another doctor to arrive. I felt so alone and so sick. I was a mess. I was thinking about Mike right then, and I wished things were different. I wished I saw him before the way I was thinking of him now. I hoped that this didn't ruin our friendship. I hoped this didn't ruin me too. I felt sort of good that the decision was made for me, like this wasn't meant to be. It was an at-fault accident that I caused. Oh God, I was so sick to my stomach, and my body hurt. My heart hurt. My brain hurt. A doctor or nurse just came in to draw a line on my stomach, and she touched me to check for something and then left. I didn't know what she was doing, but my mom had to go to the other side of the curtain for it. The nurse told her that I would be taken down the hall in a few minutes. I had never been so nervous or felt so small and helpless as I did right then. Everything was outside my control. I was getting anesthesia in a few minutes. The surgical abortion went very well according to my mom's doctor, and I was able to go home after it was done. I wasn't sore, just achy and crampy and bleeding a lot. This week was a blur. Now I'm feeling so lonely, isolated, and afraid. I haven't been to school since Monday morning and need to go back tomorrow. There are only a few people who know I was pregnant and had the abortion. My parents, my friend's parents, my doctor, and his staff. And that's it. I haven't said anything to my friends, but they keep asking why I'm not in school, and I don't know what to tell them. I have to go back tomorrow, and I feel like I'm wearing a letter of shame because of what happened. I want everything to return to normal, but I know it can't. I'm going to need to figure out what to say to people and how to deal with things if someone finds out. I heard there might already be a rumor about me being in the hospital, and I don't know if someone heard something or saw me there or what it's all about. How do I deal with this shame? I feel like such a terrible person right now because of what I did. I practically begged my friend to have sex with me, and when he did, I got pregnant and had to tell him. Then he was all nice and supportive, but I haven't seen him since Wednesday morning when he stopped on his way to school to give me some flowers. I think he texted me yesterday, but I wasn't up to talking to anyone because I'm sick and crampy and disgusting. How can I go to school tomorrow? Should I text my friend back or wait for him to get back to me? What should I tell my friends and teachers? I think they will know what happened just by looking at me. I don't look the same. I don't feel the same. I don't think I am the same as I was. Someone suggested I didn't have to tell anyone anything I didn't want to. If people asked, I could tell them I was in the hospital and that it was personal, or that I had an issue that required surgery and leave it there. They said my life and my stories are mine to tell or not tell. They also said I should talk to my friend, trusting that if he's my friend, he'll continue to be supportive, and I could ask him to be discreet. Most of all, they reminded me that this doesn't change who I am no matter what people say. I'm still the same person I was before, and I get to decide who I am and who I want to be. They said there would come a time when all of this is a distant memory. I decided I would talk to Mike today. He was coming over after school to talk. I felt like I had really messed up his life so much this week, but he had been so great and supportive and had really been there in ways I never thought someone could be. I really thought I fell in love with him this week, and I didn't think that was just hormones. On one hand, I thought this didn't change me, like I should still be the same person. But on the other side, I felt like this really had. I kept thinking that I could have been a mom. I kept having dreams about this little girl in the cutest little dresses calling me mom, and it made me smile and cry at the same time. I hoped that someday I wouldn't think about this, and I didn't know when that would be. I felt like I let myself and my family down by getting pregnant. But I also felt like I let myself down by not being pregnant anymore, if that made sense. I was going to see a therapist next week. I thought I might need that more than I thought. Their helpful comments really made me think and smile. I literally begged him to have sex because I wanted to try it out when I turned 16. He was reluctant and said that he wasn't sure if it was a good idea a few times, but I wasn't listening to him and just acted like a fudging idiot. I was so embarrassed about what I did, and my friend was so cool about it this week. It was my choice not to use a condom. I asked him not to because I wanted to feel it, and that was a really dumb thing to do. I was thinking of all the things he was going to say to me and how he was going to blame me and call me a slut and a whore and all kinds of other names. I was so afraid of that. And then on Tuesday, he came over with my favorite donuts and a cup of my favorite tea and said he was really sorry, that he should have known better, and that he would be there with me to make sure everything was all right. I thought I messed up my life, his life, my parents' lives, and everyone else around me. And it turned out that he was totally there for me and had been all week. He was just a family friend who I'd known forever. I never saw him in that way. But now I totally do. I got a lot of messages saying what an asshole he was for this, but it wasn't him. I was the asshole. I wanted to be clear about that. I was stupid and selfish and almost ruined his life because I wanted that and got pregnant, and I should have listened to him and not been so stupid. I think I may have even tried to ask him what he was so afraid of, and that isn't something to say. He came over to check on me and brought a heating pad for my cramps that he got from his mom. He has an older sister who told him that this is what I would need, and so far it has been helpful. I've thought I had bad cramps before, but nothing like what I had yesterday and today. I'm not throwing up anymore, so that's a plus. I think I really just needed to write that out because it's been in my head all week. I didn't really want to keep it, but I started thinking about what it would be like to be a mom. And I know it isn't real and probably a lot more fantasy than reality in what I was thinking about being a mom. That will happen later in life. I was really ashamed because I kind of convinced my friend to have sex with me just so I could say I did it and knew what it felt like. And I don't think he really wanted it as much as I did. And I was ashamed because my parents had to find out that I had sex. And I'm sure my mom thinks that I'm sleeping with everyone. I was more ashamed to look at my dad and tell him, but they both were sort of okay with it and didn't really freak out too much. I don't think I'm going to tell anyone anything for a long, long time. Someone highly recommended asking if my school had a counselor I could speak to, saying they are required to keep my information confidential and could really help give me advice on both what to say to people and how to deal with this in my head too. They wish they had reached out when they were in high school and struggling so bad, and they'd hate for me to distance myself from everyone and everything and suffer alone. They encouraged me to reach out and sent lots of love, saying things would get better. I thanked them and confirmed I did have a therapy appointment next week. I thought our school counselor was only there like 2 days a week, and his office has a big glass window next to the library, so literally everyone sees who's in there and talks about it. I appreciated the encouragement too, hoping things get better because they go from okay to terrible all day right now. I wished I was there to help them in high school too. I was definitely going to be nicer to a lot of people I don't talk to and talk more to anyone who looks like they are having trouble.